So I'm going to open up this week a bit of a different angle. I'm still going to rant and talk to you. Maybe rant's the wrong word, but definitely talk. Every show we do, it's always about sales, right? And this show will be no different. You're going to love. Oh my gosh, you're going to love this week's guest. I love this week's guest. I'll introduce you to him shortly. But what I want to talk to you about was something a little different. I want to talk to you about you as a person. So I'm not necessarily talking about you as a sales rep right now. I'm talking about you as a person. And I will do what I often do, which is I'll use me as an example to try to establish where I'm coming from so that when we can talk about you, and then I'll bring on my guest. I take my job, I take my career, I take my profession, I take my craft, my discipline. I take it really seriously. And I'm old enough to not care so much about what others think. But, that never goes away. And sometimes I get emotional because I care so much. Sometimes I don't understand why my colleagues don't care as much as I do. Sometimes I don't understand why my colleagues don't see what I see. Sometimes I look at my peers and I don't fathom, I don't grasp why they just brought it to, the 50-yard line when they could have brought it to a touchdown. They could have run all the way downfield with just a little more effort. Sometimes when I get criticized about how I approach my career, the tactics I do, the tools I use, the approach and my personality and my management style and my coaching style and my execution style, which is always not optimal, just for, because I'm not an expert at everything by any stretch of the imagination, but I suck at a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. Sometimes when that happens, I get frustrated. You know why I get frustrated? I get frustrated either in me or in my colleagues or my peers because it's about going the extra mile, doing the extra bit, being incredibly intentional about what we're doing. So let me give you a good example. You may not have noticed this, so I may be pulling back the curtain a little bit. But every single podcast we do here, we have a formula. Sure, the formula to the show, every show's got that. But there's a formula to how we do it. And this will make sense. We do the podcast like you're hearing now. And we do it on both audio and video so you can consume it either way. And then when it goes to air, that same week, we email those who say, I want to be notified. It goes live. We put it live on multiple properties on VanillaSoft.com, on InsideSales.com. And then we stream it on social media, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, Wednesdays at noon, Eastern time, lunch and learn. And then we use the video. We actually went to video. We were originally just audio, so we could get video clips of our guests saying amazing things, and we could do it on social media. So we repurposed the content for social media clips. We changed our production style. We repurposed the content to go out on social channels and not just be syndicated out on our podcast platform. And then 3 months later, we take this podcast, we turn it into a blog, and it goes on VanillaSoft.com. It links back to the show and to the guests, and it drives SEO juice. And then a month later, we turn that blog post into a 60-second little promotional social media clip with music and sound bites and just text callouts and B-roll, and it's 60 seconds. And it's a whole 4-month process for every single episode. Yet so many people just do a podcast. They just do a podcast. They just do a podcast. And that's a great example of how you can just take it from the 50-yard line to the touchdown zone just by making something just a little bit further, just a little better. Can you tell when I talk about this, when I talk about my craft? Your craft is sales, my craft is sales. Your craft is self-branding, it's promotion, it's marketing. My craft is marketing. I am emotional about this. I am intentional about this. I want to be the best at my job. That's what I want. That's the best way I can put it. I don't want to miss an opportunity. I don't want to look back and say, shit, why didn't I do that? When it comes to sales, when your income depends, your career progression depends on going above and beyond, not just putting in the bare minimum. I want you to do this. I want you to be emotional. I want you to be intentional. I want nothing but the best for you. That's why I do this show. That's why I bring in the people. So that's my little personal sharing. It's deep, dark, and it's down, way down on my tummy. That's how I feel. That's why I do what I do. So I thought to myself, who's a really good example? Who's a really, really good example of somebody who started off as just an SDR, just like everybody else, and progressed himself in his skills and his abilities and his accomplishments in this industry so that we can learn from him and we can learn how he is emotional about the process. That's why I'm really excited to bring on Morgan Ingram. Morgan, my friend, how are you? Come on. I want to talk to you. I want to see you. I want to hear all about you getting emotional about the process. How are you keeping, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Just we're fired up. We're ready. We're excited. So looking forward to this.
You got a big ass smile on your face right now. If you're listening on the audio only, he's got a big ass smile on his face. He's giggling. He's happy. That's cool. We got him in a good mood. Thank God. I was hoping to get him in a good mood. Your reputation for not smiling is prolific. Everybody looks at you and says, yeah, usually Morgan is cranky and I'm being sarcastic at this point in time. Every single time I see you, you're smiling. You're always a happy guy. I got to ask you, as I talked about that, and hopefully I haven't put you in a tough spot. I don't want this to be the Morgan story. But I do want to use you as a role model of what others can do and learn from you. And I know this is probably something you're passionate about too. So when I was being kind of transparent there for a minute, you did a good job not mocking me. Thank you for that, sir. Did anything I say resonate with you at all, jump off the page, or did you think I was just full of crap? Just asking you. You can be honest. It's all good.
Yeah. So you said be the best. One thing that I've seen from great athletes, great actors, and everyone across the board is they all aspire to be emotional about the process and not about the outcome, which is what Darryl was talking about there. So key thing that comes from that is control what you can control. We can control the process and what we can do to get better, but sometimes the outcome is due to external factors that, again, we don't have any control over. So when you get emotional about that, that leads to less results. And so one thing that I learned throughout this journey that John Barrows, who I work with, has told me is that, you got to start caring about the process and not about the outcome of getting a closed deal or a meeting. It really hit home with me because I realized that I so drawn into the outcome of being great, but not the process of being great. Honing my skills on discovery, honing my skills on creating content, honing my skills on cold calling, and what we should be doing as sales development reps and as prospectors on a day-to-day basis is knowing how to level up our outreach, knowing how to do a multi-channel prospecting approach. And these are things that I have fallen in love into and understanding, because if I don't know how to do all these channels, I'm not going to be able to reach out to the people that I need to reach out to. And if I limit myself on how great the potential that I can be in the long run, which I truly believe that I can reach. And so when I say be emotional about the process, not the outcome, it's honing yourself on those skills and humbling yourself to ask for feedback so you can get so in love with the process. It doesn't matter who helps you along the way. Your outcomes are greater than what your ego was, and not accepting the process and not accepting the lessons there.
So would it be fair for me to say, whatever my goal is, maybe I'm an SDR and my whole goal is simply to get a meeting for the account executive, or maybe an account executive, my goal is to get that deal, that win, that loss. If I'll use the example of, I lost the deal. If I can look back and say, did I miss something? Is there anything, what would I do differently? And I can go, I did, that check. Yep. I can't think of anything I might do differently. Now that could be just ignorance and naivety. Maybe there should be lots you should be doing differently. But my point being is if I feel good that the process was followed to the best of my abilities, your point was spot on. Yeah, the outcome, I lost the deal. Might not be what I wanted, but I sold it properly. Sometimes you just don't win it. Is that a good analogy or not?
That is an accurate assessment. What you were saying there is whatever happens as the outcome, if you just focus on I lost the deal, woe is me, you're not learning anything there. You got to be like, okay, I lost the deal. That happened. It sucks. I'm not a fan. But okay, what was the process that got me up to losing it? Did I not follow up correctly? Did I not ask the right questions in the discovery call? Was my initial outreach not the did I get the person in the initial outreach, so it didn't lead to the closed deal? I didn't get the right people, so now the right people were talking to someone else, was my competitor. So that's what I mean by getting emotional at the process. There's things in there that you're missing. If someone loses a Super Bowl, they lose Super Bowl, but it was something in that process of leading up to the Super Bowl of why they lost that game, right? So those are things you have to be thinking about as well. I think a great example right now, Joe, you're probably watching this. I'm watching The Last Dance right now with Michael Jordan. I love it. And the key thing there is that they lost to the Pistons like over and over and over again. And if Michael Jordan just focused on losing to the Pistons and was just like, man, I hate the Pistons. Let's just hope until they get out of the league and they just get old or whatever, he probably wouldn't have gone on to win those 6 finals. But he got emotional about his process to be like, yo, they're beating me up. So that means I need to get stronger so we can beat up on them. And that to me was a huge moment. I've seen the Bad Boys, Pistons 30 for 30, and now I'm watching this. And the Pistons are what took him to that next level of greatness, no matter what anybody says. But he had to fall in love with the process of getting better and stronger so that his outcomes can get better.
Or you can just say that Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas were kick ass. Either way, one of those two. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm a huge fan of the Bad Boys. I love them.
Okay. I love the point you're making. Now, before we get into some of the points today about how you can do this, so you can be the best salesperson you can be, can you give us just a quick and dirty, what's your story? Because I love your story in the sense of, there was a time when you were just an SDR like everybody else. Now you're prolific. Now you're on every single freaking Zoom call and webinar and public speaking stage. You travel the world and you're helping other SDRs become rock stars. You work with John Barrows and his whole crew. But that was a process. So maybe just, 1 minute, what was your story?
So it was a documentation of telling people, this is what I'm starting out as an SDR, right? And then showing you the obstacles, the benefits, and the adversity that I faced. And because I was very genuine in that story, it's allowed me to work with John and be on certain stages and talk to certain people. But really at the end of the day, I'm just sharing a journey. And I had to realize that I had to grow in this process. Me, when I first started as an SDR to now are different people. But the thing is, I surrounded myself with people that allowed me to give me the right advice so I can be genuine and can document that so then I can see success at the end of the day. And so really that's what I believe in is, hey, throughout this process, get emotional about it. Understand what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. Take the advice from people that are smart and execute on it. And that's what I've been able to do throughout my journey. Do I do it every single time? No, but I'm learning every single day on how to take that advice, humble myself, and move forward. And that's what was helpful for me as an SDR and continues to help me in my career.
So one of the things I've said over and over again on the show, if you're a regular listener, is success starts with self-awareness. And you just heard Morgan say that, I had to humble myself. What a powerful word. I had to humble myself to know that, to clue in, to be aware. So success starts with self-awareness. When you recognize your strengths and your weaknesses, and then you take the initiative to actually grow and develop, then that's how you'll have success. And that's why I have Morgan on the show right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick little break here and come back and go kick ass on all the lessons he's going to share with us. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Okay, so we said self-awareness is where it starts. You got to have a position of humility. You got to be humble. I so love that word. I wanted to bring that word back again. I love the self-awareness thing. But now we're getting to the process part. All this was about emotional, but it was about the process. So let's talk process. Morgan, I'm looking at you. I'm assuming you've got a whole bunch of points you want to make here. So let's just walk us through. What's the first point that's relevant to the process?
First and foremost, you have to understand your buyers. So this is something that has been a vocal point for us here at JB Sales, and it should be a vocal point for every single client and every single salesperson, right? So the big thing at the end of the day is, what are the current problems that your prospects are going through in this current climate, and adjusting to what those are, and that will allow you to then get more emotional about the process, and then understand how to target them and have a conversation with them. Because once you understand those, that's what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and then you can create messaging directly related to that. So if you aren't already working on that already, definitely do that. And if you're not talking to your customer success team, I would also get on that as well.
So you've brought up a really interesting point, because I was asked recently, how do I learn my buyer? And I want to circle back to your point. I'll give you my answer, but I want to circle back to your point about the customer success team, because I didn't even mention that, and that's brilliant. So what I said, this is crazy talk. To understand your buyer, you pick up that thing called a phone and you call some existing clients who are in that right ICP, that ideal customer profile. They're the right persona you're targeting. So if you're selling marketing services, you would call me, the marketer. But I'm a client already, so I'm a friendly. And you ask them all these questions around, okay, so what were your pains? What were your challenges you have every single day? When you engaged us or hired us or bought us, what were the problems you were trying to overcome? And what did you evaluate, and why us versus somebody else? And how has that changed now? And what lessons learned? And just going to ask all these questions. It's a 10 or 15-minute call. And you should do that to 3, 4, 5 different customers. And a couple of things happen. One, you get a consistent story about what your buyers like. You feel their pains, you understand them, because you can use all of those messages in future prospecting efforts. The second part is that it becomes stories. You can story tell them. Oh, I was talking to Sally at ABC and George, and Sally said this. Is that what you go through, George? Because she's a client of ours, by the way. So that kind of stuff makes it really personal. People love stories. Now, that's what I told them to do. You brought up customer success. Why customer success?
So customer success is dealing with the clients all the time. And you brought up some great points there too. And I feel like sometimes we just ignore the fact that they're talking to customers more than everybody else. So just hit them up and be like, hey, you're having those quarterly reviews. How about I hop on a couple of those calls? You're probably having weekly calls. Hey, can I hop in just to see what the language that you're working with them on, and with our solution, and how you're helping them moving forward? I think, Dale, your point of picking up the phone is what you should be doing anyways, especially if you're an AE right now, and have that conversation. I would also encourage you all to do a roundtable. It's something that I did earlier this week with clients. I had 5 to 6 sales leaders. I asked them certain questions around the current climate. It allowed for an environment for me to learn on what their pain points are. So now I can talk directly to that in my sales conversations and prospecting. And it allows for those sales leaders to get some advice from other leaders that they didn't know. So it's a great conversation. Enjoyed it a lot. But if you don't know what your buyers are going through, you won't know how to prospect to them, and you won't be able to sell them to effectively. Speak their language, and then you'll see more results.
So the roundtable idea, I love. Many people will avoid that. They get scared of it because they think, well, if I put 3, 4, 5, of my clients on the same line at the same time, it may become a bitch session, and they'll all just gang up on me, or they'll hear one person will say something bad, and the rest will jump on it. I want to avoid all that. But properly managed and moderated, that's not what's going to happen. And you can set the expectation for that before you ever get in. Listen, if you got a bitch, we'll take the bitch offline. This is really for you to learn. It's about this process, not about the technology. It's not about how a feature works. That's the first part. Second part is when you do that, you start to see consensus. And someone says, oh, well, this is my problem here. And they all go, yeah. Okay. They all have a common problem. It's just not Susie. So that helps you out a lot. For those who aren't sure, you're young in your career, customer success differs from customer support. Customer support are usually the folks who are just taking the questions right away and going, oh, you can't log in, the password doesn't work, here's how you fix it. That's a support issue. Get me back up and running again. Success is, I want you to be not just average, I want you to be great. And let me show you how to use the product better and more powerful and whatnot. That's success. And they also often have success will often have numbers and benchmarks and baselines, but we started here and now we're here that you can use in understanding your buyer. All right, that's step number 1 of several. What's next, man? What's next?
So next, now that you understand, okay, I know what my buyers are going through, you have to do something a little different. Video. Y'all, if you'll probably have heard me and you're probably getting sick of me, and I don't really care at this point. Video is what y'all need to be doing, all right? And the reason that you need to be doing it is because prospecting for all my sales development reps out there is like a trailer movie. Prospecting is a trailer. You're being brief, you're being brilliant, and you're being gone. That's what a trailer does. It grabs your attention and be like, I got to go see the movie, and I go check this out. So your job as a sales development rep at the end of the day is paint this beautiful trailer for you so that you can go check out the movie, which is the AE, which is going to help you close the deal and then continuously, probably cross-sell, upsell you for some more sequels, right? That's how I see the sales process. So video is a great way to lead with real empathy, not fake empathy. It allows you to handle all elements of communication, which is the 7%, which is the spoken word, 38% is voice and tone, 55% is body language, and it allows you to have confidence in your approach. If you're a rep right now, you should be taking seriously because it's going to make you stand out and you're going to get more responses and you're going to get more engagement.
So when you say video, there's lots of ways we can go with this. So you tell them, I'll list a few, then you respond. Video could be me making a video and sending it to you, embed it in an email like BombBomb or Vidyard. It could be me making a video and sending it to you on LinkedIn. It could be a video could be on Zoom. We're having a Zoom meeting, but I'm turning the damn video camera on. Video could be me having an opinion piece, being an expert in my industry that I sell to, and posting it on social media for the world to see, and hopefully my prospects see it too. I think I'm pretty kick-ass. So those are lots of, do all of those apply to your analogy or some of those? You tell me.
Yeah. All of the above. Based on Gong's studies, if you have video in your sales cycle, you're going to increase conversions and you're going to close more deals. Videos in your emails, you should be doing that around the second or third touch. I highly encourage that, right? Now those lead to, even if people who are highly engaged, you should be prospecting with video, right? Because then you can be more personalized. Videos on LinkedIn are what is the best because you can look at my LinkedIn. There's so much going on there, and you can put a face to the name easier because I can go right to your profile and your website. I do LinkedIn videos if you can. Now, LinkedIn posting, Darryl does a great job of this. This is great if your audience is on LinkedIn, right? If your audience isn't on LinkedIn, then you probably shouldn't be doing that. I just feel like that won't be as relevant and people might push back on that, so that's cool. But if your audience is on LinkedIn, you should be creating content. I think you should be creating content regardless. But if you're like, okay, what should I really be doing? Creating videos on a platform that your audience is at. But since we're talking about LinkedIn, you brought that up, make those videos on LinkedIn that are relatable to your audience and sharing those insights, and then you'll be known as that person in the space.
And I love it because your point is right. People do connect with people. So if I get to see you, hear you, and check out all this, whether it's verbal, body language, whatever it might be, we're developing a rapport. They're judging you. They're connecting with you before you ever talk to them. So the trailer example is a brilliant idea. So use video. Many of you are afraid of that. You don't do that. You walk away from it. You make excuses for it. Don't stop it. Remember, we talked about it's a process. Be self-aware, be humble, perfect the skill. Next up on the list.
So next, what we're going to be drilling into is being creative and innovative. I think a lot of people miss out on this. And we just talked about video. So I want to amplify on top of this is being creative and innovative. And the key part about this is doing something different. So what you also could do something different being creative is, are you doing direct mail? Are you sending digital in mail right now, right? Are you doing memes and GIFs? These are things I've seen that are working. So memes and GIFs on LinkedIn are great as well. It creates a human element. It's funny, right? You can engage with people. That's being creative and innovative right now. And then also thinking outside the box, as in going in your CRM, looking at all the people that have bought your solution, connecting with them on LinkedIn, and then engaging with them on LinkedIn, and then asking for referrals. These are things that are creative and innovative and different. But right now in this current climate that we're in, you can't be an average rep. You got to go beyond that to get yourself to that next level.
So a good example of that, I was just on a session earlier. If you heard a previous episode, we're talking about the whole idea of negotiation. It was with Scott Leese. And he said, if you get to the point you're negotiating price, you may have to give a little, to get a little, so to speak. And there's lots of ways you can do that. It's not always just dollars and cents. And it could be, so if, I'll give you 10 points off, but in return, this is me being creative, you need to give me some referrals. You give me 3 referrals, I'll give you 10 points off. And it's not 10 points off. So that's one example of creativity. The whole point is you want to go outside and be memorable. And you'd be shocked at how much buyers are really receptive and open to creativity. Be different. Be that person who's different. Number 4 on your list. What is it, dude?
All right. So this one right here is critical. Getting feedback and being concise with it. So I used to be really bad at getting feedback, especially if it was negative or any type of criticism. I'm really not that great at it, and I'm continuously getting better at it. But the key thing that I've learned is that when you ask people for feedback, like, execute on it and then use that in your process. And the more that you think about being emotional towards it, that's what helps you be better at the end of the day. I think a lot of times what we end up doing is we hear advice from someone and we're like, yeah, whatever, or we get a critique and we're like, that person doesn't know any better. And then again, we get emotional about it and we don't do anything. So what we should be doing is, like, if you care about being great and you care about your process, then you'll listen to people to how to get that better. And so I'm seeking that feedback. I'm taking that feedback and then I'm being direct with it so then I can get the most out of it. And at the end of the day, that's more so where I see results personally, but also other people that I've worked with have seen results by taking that feedback, listening to someone, and take action on it. And, I was on a podcast with Scott and he was like, yeah, one thing that he personally told me that I do well on that podcast, if you listen to the episode, was I take feedback now, and then whatever someone says, I go take action on it. Does it happen every single time? No, but for the most part, I will take that and I will go get it.
One of the things I have espoused over and over again is A/B testing. Why is that relevant?
Yep.
Because what I don't talk about, and by the way, A/B testing in this case simply means try script A or script B and see what works. Email 1, email 2, see what works. We're always testing. Testing is awesome. It's free to always get better. The second thing I don't talk about a lot, but to Morgan's point, is I'm constantly doing postmortems. How was that? What could I have done better? Did you like this? Did you like that? Before we start, Morgan said, Darryl, I'm loving your beard. I'm like, dude, do you like it? Because it's brand new. I don't know. Like, if I look like an ass, please tell me. I want to know I look like an ass. Don't humble brag me. Just tell me I look like an ass. And then he said, I look like an ass. And it really made me cry. Okay, we are into overtime now. I think you have one more point to make, and this might be the most relevant, salient point of the whole thing. What is it? Hit me up, dude.
So last point that I want to make here is, we've talked about a lot of stuff, but I want to package it so everyone can listen in on this. Focus on skills at a time in your process. And this all comes from Kobe Bryant. So Kobe Bryant, how he got great was he focused on things one at a time. So he was like, I want to get really good at free throws. So he focused heavily on free throws for 2 months. Then he focused heavily on 3-pointers. Then he focused heavily on 2-point shots. My saying here is that break down your process into where you can focus. So for a couple months, I focused only on video when I started off as a rep. I got really great at it, and then I moved on. Then I focused on cold calling. Then I focused on emails. Then I focused on brand. Then you see where I'm going here. So the key thing is that you want to focus on certain skills in the process, get emotional about those skills, lock it in, and then move on. Now, that doesn't mean you don't come back to get better at them. But if you're saying like, man, I just got to get better at this one thing to take me to this level, do that. So for me right now, it's, okay, how can I ask better impact discovery questions? So I have books on asking better questions so I can get real answers and direct feedback from people. So find out what that is for you, so you can get better in your process and you can get more emotional about it.
All right, so the 5 steps about the whole process. Get emotional about the process. We heard it from the man himself, Morgan Ingram. 1, understand your buyer. 2, use video. Full stop, no excuses, use video. 3, be creative, be different, stand up from the crowd, have a take, be creative. 4, always be seeking feedback because it's a continuous learning process. And 5, you want to be real with yourself. In other words, if you've got weaknesses, be real and then improve. be real, and then improve. That, my friends, is how you get emotional about the process. This is Morgan Ingram. Of course, you can catch him on LinkedIn. You can catch him on Twitter. He is with John Barrows. Him and John and James Buckley are like the, three musketeers. Let's go with that. They are on fire. I love their training. I love their workshops. I love their sessions. Follow all of them. Morgan, thank you for your time today. We're out of time, folks. Another week has gone by. I'll see you soon in 7 days' time. Take care. Bye-bye.